This footage is from my first lesson in the Super Cub, which is a tail dragger. I cut a more fun video out of this footage, which you can find on my channel, but this one will be one of several more technical tail dragger flying tips. So at this point, I've only got a few minutes logged in the airplane. I'm flying with Dennis, who's an amazing tail dragger instructor, and he actually owns a Stearman. And we're heading to a local grass strip that's quite a bit longer than the available grass that we've got at our home base. So the idea is to give me a longer strip to land on here, and if I can get her landed reasonably well, then we head back to the local home base, which has a small patch of grass that doesn't leave much room for error.
The field elevation here is 850.
Affirmative. So I want to make my turn relatively shortly for the downwind.
Yep.
What are my downwind checks?
Your landing check is just fuel on, mixture rich, test the carb heat, but don't leave it on.
A fair bit of the lesson actually had to do with taxi and takeoff. It's quite complicated to taxi a tail dragger. But for this tip, we'll talk about landing. When I started flying, I actually flew gliders, but that was more than 15 years ago. And amazingly, I actually felt pretty comfortable in this airplane flying with my right hand on the stick and my left hand up on the throttle, which is where the spoilers are located in a glider. With most GA planes, you fly with your left hand on the yoke and your right hand on the throttle, so that's what's different about gliders, and in this case the tail dragger. Here's a shot of a glider cockpit, and that control there on the left is the spoiler control. And it operates just like the throttle in that pulling back on it increases spoilers. These things pop out of the wings and spoil your lift, and it acts just like reducing power in a power plane. And like the glider cockpit, there's not a lot going on in the Super Cub here, so you're basically looking at your RPM, your airspeed, and your altitude. There's no rate of climb indicator, but there is a ball to keep track of your coordination, but mostly you want to be eyes out and keep track of your attitude that way. This is definitely a VFR plane. Anyway, where were we?
Alright, so I'm established on downwind. Did I get through the check?
Yep. Alright, then seat belts and brake pressure, that's all I check. Mags on both, just the left to right. We call it a geographic flow. Left to right, top to bottom, everything where it should be.
So I think my comfort in the airplane showed because Dennis really let me fly it. He talked me through things while I was hands-on and basically let me do the first landing completely on my own.
Alright, so let's start reducing power to about 1700. Hold the nose up. Better slow down. Hold the nose up a bit more. There you go.
And what's my approach speed?
Your approach is going to be between 60 and 70. Once you're in the white arc, keep the nose up a bit more.
Yep.
Get some flap in. Put one notch of flaps in.
There's one notch.
Alright, so now what you'll find is if you pull the power back, don't retrim, but if you pull the power back and let go of the stick, it's going to be almost at a perfect approach speed.
It did, I already got there. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I say don't retrim it.
That's awesome.
Just leave it.
I feel a little high.
Yeah, you are. I would keep bringing the power back. But you see, once you really bring the power back, then it really sinks.
Do we want full flaps for every approach, or we go like
No, we'll just leave it like this for now. Your target speed is good. Well, the threshold is where the tree line intersects the runway. This north end of the runway is quite rough.
Okay.
And we're aiming for basically where the tree line intersects, where the runway widens out.
So I'm going to just slip it a bit?
Absolutely. Loves to slip.
So at this point when I threw it into a forward slip, I couldn't believe how much it felt like a glider, and the old memories were really coming back.
Power right back. Power right back.
Gonna slip a bit more?
Yep. Yep. A little bit less rudder, a little more aileron. Get yourself back over the field. And there's lots of room here, so don't worry about getting down in a big hurry, all right?
Gotcha.
All right, so now
just land the airplane.
Just land the airplane. Now, lots of feet, less hands, more feet. Get the nose down a bit because she's going to start to sink if you try and stretch the glide. All right, and now just pull the power back and just keep gently raising the nose, raise the nose, raise the nose, easy, raise the nose. Beautiful.
That was awesome.
The only comment there was that your pitch was a little bit aggressive. Just think about it as pressure, that you're not really trying to change the pitch attitude, you're just trying to add a little bit more pressure in whatever direction you want.
Yeah, reviewing the footage, you can definitely see that I was yanking the stick there while I was trying to figure out how to flare that thing, but I definitely got her done, and Dennis let me do it on my own, so that was cool. Good learning there. And I also should have had the stick right back during the rollout, and I also should have been much more on top of the rudder during the rollout, but I think I was just impressed with myself for having landed smoothly. But then as you can see, the rollout gets a little squirrely because you've got to be on the rudder pedals and the brakes if necessary during the entire roll until this airplane stops. So I got a whole pile of great footage from this one flight alone, including an awesome post-flight interview with Dennis. So I'll be posting several more tail dragger flying tips, so watch for those on my channel. And as usual, I make these videos for my own self-analysis purposes. I'm just a private pilot doing my best to stay current and learn. I'm happy to share, and any positive feedback is welcome. I also recently joined the Share Aviation Network, so check that out. And keep on keeping your flight chops sharp, guys.
Wherever you are in the world, share your aviation. Share Aviation, a network for pilots by pilots.